The benefits of modern industry pervade all aspects of our existence, but so too do the unwanted outputs of this industrial activity. Be it effluent released into the rivers, solid waste, or toxic gases released into the atmosphere. For many people, the cost and disruptive impact of industrial waste is of grave magnitude.
You breathe hivi, unakutani koo inakauka, kifua pia ni kinakusumbua, na yote inatokana na huo moshi.
Vitoto vidogo vidogo wafa hata hawajafika mwaka.
In Kenya, implementation of effective regulatory controls on industrial waste should be stepped up in order to protect lives and the environment.
Tunataka maendeleo, lakini hatutaki kampuni inayotuletea maradhi bwana.
For centuries, Lake Victoria, East Africa's largest freshwater lake, has thrived as an important resource and the single most important source of livelihood for the people residing in the lake region. But gradual degradation and all manner of pollution, including industrial effluent, is threatening the life and sustainability of the lake. Mismanagement of this critical resource has, for example, contributed to the proliferation of water hyacinth, an invasive plant species which has had a huge negative impact on the lake and the communities that depend on it.
Kuna hii mambo ya water hyacinth, nachukulia vifaa zetu, saa ile tunatega, tunawacha nyavu zetu ndani, ukirudi kesho kutwa unapata zimeenda zote. Kama maji imechafuka huwezi kupata samaki, kwa maana samaki zinapendelea mahali ziko safi kabisa.
Presence of water hyacinth in the lake is actually signs that water in the lake, which is supposed to be a fresh water lake, is actually polluted. These are results of both the phosphates and nitrates that are released to the lake beyond the maximum permissible levels. So we expect the treatment plant not to be able to clean the effluent that is being released to the sewer system. We'll find that also with the poor planning, we have also had slums whose waste disposal is also wanting. This means that their waste will always go to the river and then end up in the lake. We have the agricultural pollution, which will be as a result of the herbicides and pesticides. If we have the presence of the chemicals that actually make up those herbicides and pesticides reaching the rivers that end up in Lake Victoria, then we expect also the water hyacinths to thrive.
Hii mambo ya pollution, water pollution umeleta hatari maishani yetu kama wakaaji wa ziwa Victoria. Imeletiwa na sana hizi industry ambayo ziko umo nchini ama miji yetu ya Kisumu.
In the meantime, competition for dwindling fish stocks and the direct incomes from the lake continue to affect the residents who depend on the lake for their livelihood. 1,000 miles from Kisumu in Mariakani in Kilifi County, we meet Mama Fatuma. Together with several members of her community, she is grappling with a different environmental challenge. Something in the air is apparently corroding the corrugated iron roofing sheets that provide shelter for their homes. The residents claim that roofing sheets that are less than a year old have quickly corroded, and they believe the likely cause is due to smoke emissions from the neighboring Mabati Rolling Mills factory. which coincidentally manufactures corrugated iron sheets.
Naweka mabati, natoa hivyo hivyo. Hata ni mapya ile kajuzi yanasumbuana inaanza kuharibika.
Person after person, the residents lament on what could possibly be affecting the roofs of their houses and their health.
Naona ilivyotoboka nyumba yangu, naona kule kumetoboka kote, huku na kule. Yote imetoboka. Wafanyaji kazi hapo pia wanakufa. Alafu wengine zaidi sana wanajisaidia hapo, lakini madhara ndiyo mengi. Hii ni ya nani hini? Ni ya kifua, hizi tembe. Hii ni ya habon. Hii ni ya halsaz. Mara ambiwa huna damu.
Si unaona hapa potu, si unaona watu huko kuja jengo sana? Hapa si karibu na barabara. Lakini watu hawataki kujenga kwa sababu ya hiyo moshi tu. Unaona huu moshi, sijui ni mambo gani. Hata sielewi.
Mbali na mabati, huwa kuna vumbi lingine linatoka. Na lao watu wanakula chakula mpaka ufunge mlango ama ufunge na madirisha. Ukiwacha hutakula, hicho chakula kitaharibika chote. Kuna kitu kama chenga kama mchanga hivi. Linatoka hilo, na likitoka hilo lenda na chini halitoki juu.
Wameugua ugonjwa wa TB hapa. Si mtu mzima, si watoto ndio kufa. Vitoto vyafa, haviwezi pumzi hii mbaya ambayo sijui ina sumu gani inatoka ndani ya hii moshi.
Tutaweza sema moshi uzimwe, na ukishtakiwa alafu utajua utafungua wapi? Hatujui.
Our efforts to reach the Mabati rolling mills for comment on the issue were unsuccessful. And though the residents indicated that they had raised their concerns with the local leaders, it emerged that formal complaints were yet to be made to the National Environmental Management Authority. Responding to the enquiries we had made, NEMA indicated it had not received any complaints regarding the company. Are industrial emissions responsible for the corrosion problem affecting the residents of Majengo in Kilifi County? Or could it be that the problem is due to other factors such as the humid oceanic conditions in Mombasa? While a sound environmental study would help answer the question on what the direct causative link is, the social impact of the inhabitants is clear.
Tunataka maendeleo, lakini hatutaki kampuni inayotuletea maradhi bwana.
It is also clear that even as we power our societies and modern way of life with the benefits of industry, too often these benefits are compounded by the problem of industrial waste.
Industrial pollution. Is that about inadequate regulation or the lack of enforcement? Let's join Dan and his panel as they delve further into this on Green Talk next.
Welcome back. Now, most industrial activities involve water-intensive processes and consequently the discharge of large amounts of effluent into ecosystems that have very serious health and environmental problems. Proper effluent management is our topic for discussion today on Green Talk, and joining me in studio is Nathaniel Mutunji, Platform Manager, Environmental and Natural Resources Management from ACT. Welcome to Green Talk, Nathaniel. There seems to be an element of impunity, that is very worrying. And it's something that, it's causing a lot of problems for many people, especially the ones who are living around, say, some factories or some industrial complexes. How do we begin to enforce some of these laws?
It's one thing to know and the other to be able to enforce. And one way of enforcing is to build the capacity, advocacy on the citizenry living adjacent to these areas, so that they know, because some of them do not know the harmful effects of such substances. Two, they may know, but they do not know the mechanism for them to get redress.
But some of them actually benefit from the industries being, wherever they are living, because maybe they live there because they work there. So it's almost a catch-22 situation where, are you going to cut off the hand that feeds you?
True. Looking at it at the economic side, very positive. But then, how does it manifest? If you work and die, So, or it affects any other person who does not even benefit from the work per se. So we should not look at it from only the economic side, but also on the social side as well.
Just coming back to the people who live adjacent to some of these industries or who are, facing the direct harmful effects of the pollution, you might sensitize them and give them information about what's going on, but how do you build capacity? Because how can they practically rise up as citizens and fight for their rights for a clean environment and good livelihoods?
Yes, Dan,
what capacity do they have to do this?
First and foremost, they have to be informed. Whatever factory, whatever industry is there, what is it that it produces that can easily harm or can injure their health? Because there are some factories who recycle whatever they emit as effluent. In that case, you wouldn't call that as a harmful substance because they are reusing that, right? But for those that are emitting, the emissions that go to the external environment, then the most important thing is to let the people know that whatever is being emitted here has these types of harmful effects to them. And now it is the duty of those people now, after you build their capacity, after you make them know, to be able to bring themselves up and find out whether those levels of emission by that factor, that industry, are within the World Health Organization standards.
Now, let's talk about the authorities and the policies and the legislation. Because, like I said before, there seems to be some form of impunity. So it is the enforcement of these laws and making sure that those levels that you're talking about are never exceeded in the amount that is being, put out by these factories.
We have certain areas where this compliance is being addressed, but we are not certain whether it is 100% compliance, right? And in some instances, I could say, Dan, that the capacity of NEMA to be able to address all these issues is somehow inadequate. It is a requirement within MCA 1999 that an EIA should be done and regular audits as it may be necessary. But you realize sometimes even after all this is done, you still realize those minimum thresholds are still exceeded. So you see, it is the duty of the people affected to demand for a control audit, as it were. A normal citizen actually now would not know there is a control audit. Okay. So it is our duty now as environmentalists to pass that information, find out whether that audit has been carried out in the first place, and whether the standards within that audit, according to the Constitution.
Okay. Because when you look at, when you get your bill, your water bill, for example, so can there be a situation where they can, quantify, they charge you more for dealing with the amount of effluent you put out from your factory, your business, or even your home, and, make that tally with the price that you're paying for that service?
Yes, and that is the polluter pays principle, which is within the MCA 1999, where the one who pollutes more pays more. But practically, it has not been very, very workable, I may say, because if you, for example, in other places like Nakuru and those that have even factories or industries emitting lead into the water systems, even the measurement aspect has been a problem. How do you measure? Okay, they have their own ways of measuring, yeah? But I'm not certain whether those measurements are adhering to the standards. Yes.
What about legal action for compensation, for the victims at least? Legal action, taking...
To the factory or...
Of course, now you have to take the factories to court and start, proving that...
A few have done that.
Yeah.
A few have done that. Yeah, we have a few cases. I wouldn't like to name some because these are court cases. Right. But there are a few cases where people have gone down, sensitized the communities. I know they're at the point of litigation. Yeah. And they have enshrined some of our institutions in the same.
And I think on that positive note, I will bring our discussion to an end today. Thank you very much, Nathaniel Mtunji, for being on Green Talk.
Thank you so much, Dan. It was also a pleasure being with you here.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So now our green heroes this week are Kaluaks, who have managed to set up their own effluent treatment plant. Find out more about this bold project right here on Project Green after the break.
Kaliworks comes a long way as a part of the larger group, which found its inception in 1929. And Kaliworks has grown since 1929. And it's from Kaliworks that the larger group grew out from. When it comes to industry, certain things become very important, that employee safety, employee welfare. When you look around, who are the other stakeholders? The people who are living around you. And when it comes to those stakeholders, the environment becomes a very important issue. In today's business, if you want to set up any industry, obviously there are the machines that you have to invest in. But it is today mandatory that a part of those equipment is the pollution control equipment that you have to set up. It's mandatory. Water, as you all know, is a very scarce resource. Today and in future, people will be actually fighting over water. Every drop of water that is consumed by the company needs to be accounted. And if this is water that is polluted finally with things like your chemicals and all that, we need to recycle that.
We always receive this effluent which is generated from various process settings inside the factory. All the effluent comes here. When it reaches here, it comes to this area which is called oil removal tank. Hydrochloric acid gets inside the effluent, oil comes up, then it forms scum. Whatever you're seeing up here is called scum. This scum generally is foul material which appears on any liquid surface. We normally skim it and we put them inside the bucket and we take it to our incinerator, which is within the company, for burning. From here we move to this next chamber, which is where we normally collect the fresh water which have been removed from scum. Now these ones here are our sludge beds. When they are drained periodically to the sludge beds, they come here. Then from here they go to a filter press. The work of that machine is to filter sludge, then clear water drops on that basin, then goes down, then comes back to sludge pit. Then it's being pumped back again to the reaction tank. This now is our final product from our effluent treatment plant. This is the water which have passed all those processes, and it is clean as you can see it. Now from the fountain aeration, it is being pumped by use of a pump to the top containment, stored there. Then we pump it from the containment to the factory to be used in washing floors and also for cooling processes in the washing line machine.
We recycle almost about 80,000 liters of water a day. And then a part of the clean water is also going into irrigation. Like you have seen the greenhouses that we have, which is all supplied by drip. So optimum amount of water. And a lot of it is the recycled water that we use. So similarly, the other farm that you saw, that we grow chilies and tomatoes and sukma, so many other things, all goes to feed the people here with the water that we recycle. Unless you grow doing business in a socially and environmentally acceptable way, companies do not sustain itself over a long period of time.
I think every industry has waste, and every industry creates pollution. It's easy to buy equipment, easy to manufacture, and forget about somebody else to look after your worries. But profit must also be balanced by a total understanding of how the waste that you're going to produce can be utilized. Are we going to make very sure that it's not only the manufacturing equipment which is necessary, but at the same time think about how you're going to manage the waste. There has to be a possibility of some kind of a payback in which if you can reduce your carbon, then you can get a cash for that. All waste is recyclable. Everything. Where it is not recyclable, I think that we got to think twice what to do.
Naitwa Dan ama Madante, mimi ni mkaaji wa huku Korokocho. Ma-industry zimekuwa zikielekeza uchafu yao kwa hii mto. Sasa na shida sisi wenyewe tunafaa tufanye nini ili hiyo kitu isimame.
Waste disposal should be there. Mechanisms like recycling. This is another aspect which is coming up and which is more sustainable even. Recycling what we have. For example, all the plastics. Even the manufacturer who manufacture goods, particularly where there is waste, the containers, they should make things which can be recycled, particularly plastics and the paper. Those ones there should be recycling so that they are not all over. Because most of the waste you see, even water blockages, are being caused by plastic and the paper products. We should be a way of making the products not go there. And once they go there, they should be treated there such that that waste is recycled into something else.
Well, that's it for today. But the question is, what is that one thing you can do to compel local industries to manage their waste better and not to jeopardize your life? See you next week. Who knows, maybe this is the last episode. What? Okay. There are local industries to manage their waste better and not to... What did I say?